Hi everyone, Greg here from Fishback Films and welcome back to part 2 of tunnel vision. And you can see the tunnels has a test fit here. And I'm just trying these portals that I'm trying to make, custom portals. It's a bit of an idea. That portal's actually for the short tunnel. You can see it's a little bit high there, it needs to come down a little bit. But yeah, working out okay. So let's go and have a look at part 2 of tunnel vision and see how we put the plaster cloth and get the lining of the tunnel started to form. Let's go and have a look. Okay, we've done a bit of a test here, and now I'm going to keep going with the plaster cloth. And I've found, always wet the cardboard first, and I've found that about cutting the plaster strips about 50 to 60 mil, thereabouts, about 2 inches, 2 and a bit inches, is a good size. Any bigger than that, any wider than that I should say, and they tend to fold over on each other. Now I've just got to make sure I balance it roughly, get each side the same. And when I was trying to do them wider, it was pretty tricky. So I decided that I was doing them too thick, or too wide I should say. Using plaster cloth could be a bit of an overkill, but what I've found is that when you start putting the sculptor mold and that on and starting to shape it, it's nice to have some solid base here, so when you're doing all the shaping you don't push the tunnel out of alignment. Now also remember, when you're doing this, bring your brush back this way so you don't catch the cloth and rip the threads like I just did before. Again, dear oh dear. And just drag it nice and say what the wet brush will do is activate the plaster, apart from you've had it soaking of course, and it just drags and does a very nice join. Now Cam used tape, I'm pretty sure, didn't you Cam? And tape is a fine idea. It's certainly cheaper than plaster cloth. I'm overlapping these by about 5 mil, quarter of an inch, or 3/8 Canadian. And just pressing them down there so it conforms with the roof of the tunnel. But for me, as I said, I was going to put a fish plate film take on Railfan 220s, Cam's ideas, and this is one of them. Right, so we've got a few more bits to go, and this has turned out really well. Having wet issues with the actual water getting into this bottom bit here, so I'm not wetting that before I put the plaster cloth on. That was getting a bit too much, so it was okay, but it was getting a bit nuts. But I will wet the sides here just a bit, just to help the plaster cloth stick, and that makes a big difference. So I'm really surprised at how well this is coming on. Just making sure I'm not getting in the shot here. So do that side first, and then what I've also found is you put one side in like that, and then so it doesn't come off the bottom, then hold it down on the bottom and then run it up the walls like that, just so you find it doesn't pull away from the floor, or should I say the ceiling. And the old wet brush there, a bit like the wet finger. Remember the old wet finger, what you can do with a wet finger? And the brush is just pulling the plaster. So what you want, all these little holes in this plaster cloth, You don't want them to be sharp, you want them to start blurring. When they start blurring, you know you're starting to drag the plaster and activate the plaster. Right, here we go. Our last piece. And should we get right to the end there? Are we going to cover? Yes, lovely. So that one's gone a bit manky there, but that's all right. We'll do this side first. Make sure it's sat there. I'm going to rescue this side. There we go. Make sure it's conforming. So I'd like to thank Cam very much for RailFan220 for giving me the idea. As I said, I've been wondering how to do curved tunnel linings for literally years, wondering how to do it. And I had a few ideas, something similar to this, but not quite. So Cam gave me the inspiration, and I thought I can just take his idea and just put a bit of a fish plate film spin on it. Not too much, they're pretty similar. I'm sure other people have done it as well, but... And I know you're saying it's all going to be covered with plaster or sculpt mold anyway, so who gives a rat's? Remember, like in anything, the 6 P's. Do you remember the 6 P's? My old subscribers will remember the 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. And we don't want piss poor performance. That's one word. So, like with everything, the better preparation you do, the better the end result. Done. All right, well, that's turned out pretty good. So come back and join us for part 3 in tunnel vision, where we apply the sculpted, or as you would say in America, the sculpted mould to the plaster cloth and the tunnel lining, and get the shotcrete effect that I'm after. And then we'll paint it up and have a go at putting these tunnel portals on. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again in part 3 of tunnel vision. Here for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Here you go. Right, now they say mix this sculptor mould up to cottage cheese. I don't eat friggin' cottage cheese, so I don't know what it's like. Anyway, you have to know when to say enough's enough, because if you keep working it, you keep going back, and you end up starting to make more mistakes then.